So, good morning, everybody. I'll turn my video back on for this first part. We'll see if it kills the audio again. Okay, I'm Lizette, the koha-US president for this year. Lizette Scheer from Latah County Library District in North Idaho. First off, I've got a few announcements today. And the documentation with Jesse Z is this Friday at 10:30 a.m. Central. And links on our website for all of these. Next Thursday, the 21st, George is doing a jQuery hacks webinar, also at 10:30 Central. And we have, we're updating, or maybe very basic jQuery, George says in the chat. And we have 4 upcoming SIGs. We have the Web Dev SIG tomorrow at 10 Central. The Acquisitions SIG next Tuesday at 11 Central. The Cataloging SIG June 4th at 10 a.m. Central. And the sysadmin next meeting is the 9th of June at 11 Central. Our annual conference call for proposals, I'll be sending out after this meeting. And so you should see an email today about that. George says knowing none is a prerequisite for going to his jQuery hacks. Okay, because he's starting with the basics. Kohathon follow-up. So, already almost 3 weeks ago, or is it just, yeah, 3 weeks ago? I know, it does not seem like it was that long. 3 weeks ago, we had our very first Kohathon. It went well. We only had, we had fewer technical difficulties than I was worried we might have. It was basically when my computer decided that it was going to die in the middle of a stream. And we had to switch back to JSON. But otherwise, you know, for 15 hours of online conference, we were on time pretty much the whole day. Like, I think the worst we got behind was like 15 minutes around when we were also having technical difficulties and someone had needed to get the link again. There were lots of, we had 99 people viewing it at the same time at one point. That was the most viewing it at the same time. But we had, when I checked Monday morning, the video had finished processing. It was over 30 days of watch time since Thursday morning we started through Friday, or through the following Monday. And koha-US also raised $800. Well, $840 when the threadless finishes coming through. So it was a great success. We're already talking about what, you know, we learned from it and what we can do differently in the future. So you should expect to hear more on that in the future.
One thing we didn't talk about is there a survey going out still?
I believe so.
So I created a survey the other day, and then SurveyMonkey has updated their privacy features. They're requiring 2-factor authentication. So I cannot get into SurveyMonkey to share the link with it because I cannot get it coordinated with the person in our office whose email address the 2nd factor goes to. I've got an appointment with Mike after lunch to get the link. So SurveyMonkey says they're doing it to make it more secure. What they're really doing, I think, is they found a way to make it so the teams that all share an email address to use SurveyMonkey are finding it a huge pain in the ass to maintain that way of operating with SurveyMonkey. But I will try to get the link out as soon as possible today.
Okay. Thank you, George. So we're already into committee reports. Conference Committee. So we're meeting today to talk about, after this meeting, to talk about the fall conference, as well as the, we met last week to talk about Kohathon, and I pretty much just already talked about everything. I did see that an email went out last night from the Koha-Con team. And so thanks to, what they saw in Kohathon, and we also talked about reaching out to help with some of the setup that we had there. I'm going to turn off my video again to see if that helps at all with the audio, although then we just see a sad white screen because no one has video on. I don't get to see everybody's names. So we will be meeting after this to talk about the McKinney conference, our regular monthly conference meeting. Development is Rhonda, who I don't see. I think they're still, from our board meeting last week, they're still working on following up on the last couple of questions they had from people and are hoping to get that moving along more soon. Next is the Education Committee. Is Jessie still in? Yes, Jessie.
Okay, this was already mentioned, we have two webinars coming up. I'll be doing documentation on Friday, and then George will be doing very basic jQuery on the 21st. And our next meeting will be May 20th, so right in between those two. And I think those are the big things. We're going to try and focus on CE because we have some time to start doing some webinars, and just I think a good thing to be promoting, like the Kohathon on-demand videos that people can keep watching. We've noticed that, at Bywater, we've noticed that a lot of people are ingesting on-demand material. So I think maybe like at our next meeting, we'll talk about this, how we can promote some of that material for people that are still working from home, or maybe have a hybrid if they have to go into work, as they transition to reopening and things like that.
Thanks, Jessie.
So that's it. Yep, next meeting, May 20th.
One thing I forgot to mention with Kohathon is that we have on our website, we have timestamp links to all the videos instead of cutting them apart to keep the statistics better and not risk losing quality, especially losing further quality on the video that was choppy when my computer was imploding. We did timestamp links, and then I'm putting up slides as I get them. I've got, I think, more than half of them now, and I've put about half the ones I've got up. After the conference meeting today, I'm planning on putting the rest that I've got up. So I'll send an email out when I've got all or most of the slides available on the website, as well as with a link, but there is a link. It's the koha-us.org/Kohathon-2020 down at the bottom where the schedule was. I just added video and slide links there. Okay. Fundraising, Todd.
Nothing to report currently. I'm still very interested in doing research on virtual runs, as a way of people being able to be engaged and to help support what we've got going on in fundraising. But that's about it right now.
Okay, thank you, Todd. Next up is John for the Finance Committee.
We're doing well, everything considered. A lot of our expenses that are not necessarily conference related have essentially cleared, including things like our requested subscription by the fundraising committee for philanthropy.org, our ALA exhibit space, which has been acknowledged as forwarded to 2021. And we'll just basically have things like the little bit that PayPal takes from every transaction when anything is made. The two bank account summaries you see for PNC Bank not reflect the koha-thon activity. That's reflected in the PayPal balance as of April 30th, with all of that money essentially moved over to the bank account on May 1st when I take all of the money in PayPal and move it over to the bank. Our reports that are required filing for both the Internal Revenue Service and the state of Kansas have been submitted and acknowledged. This came with a alteration of the documentation I drafted to create or file those reports because of our new concept of the membership year. Membership year is exclusive for our machinations and handling. The reporting numbers themselves will continue to follow calendar year principles. And that's something I wanted to make clear in the documentation. Talked about the forwarding of everything to 2020, and we've already talked about the Koha-thon 2020 donations. It is May, so we do expect the Amazon Smile transfer to take place relatively soon. Sometimes it happens really early in the month being February, May, August, or November. Sometimes it happens a little bit later, and I haven't checked the bank account in about a week to see if it might have made its way over yet. But it is also time for our quarterly report. I've changed the format of this around a little bit. Everything used to be manual before. Now I've actually got a separate Google Sheet where I input these numbers, and it's the Google Sheet that does all of the work you see for the summation. And it's not a live link because the first quarter report, I only want to reflect the first quarter numbers. So the information you see is being maintained in a Google Sheet, but it's actually just a static, essentially copy and paste for that. So we're really spot on target for membership. We were looking for 79, we were looking or hoping for 80 full-year memberships. We have 79, so that's good. And financially, we are doing particularly well, about to enter a slow period because it's not quite our conference yet, and the big push for full-year memberships is essentially over. So just the fact that it only looks like we cleared $3 and some odd cents, most of that is attributed to the already accounted for ALA membership. We're actually doing pretty well. Per usual, any questions, send them over my way to treasurer@koha-US.org. And my usual plug for looking for finance committee members or anybody that would be interested in auditing last year's finances. Again, not a requirement that we have to do for anything, but for anybody interested in learning more about how I've got things set up is welcome to tell me they'd like to audit the books, and I can set up time with them to do that and report back to the board once that audit has taken place. That's it for the Finance Committee, unless there are any questions.
Okay, thank you, John. It sounds like we don't have any questions for the committees. If anyone's
Yes,
interested,
Christopher, we have money.
yes. Yay. If you're interested in joining any of the committees, you can email info@koha-US.org, and that goes to Rhonda and myself when we make sure that people get hooked up with whichever committee, or if you're interested in a special interest group, which are all listed on our website, you can also try or add yourself to the SIGs that way, or email info and we can add you manually. So, open discussion, bugs, issues, etc. We do actually have resources for reopening under the section this time, so people are starting to at least plan for reopening. I know in our consortium we've been doing curbside pickup for a little while and are actually starting some of the districts within our consortium are planning on next week or the week after allowing holds between just their branches. So we've been working on how to best make that work. Does anyone have any like resources that they'd like to share or questions that they're thinking about with how Koha can handle something for reopening? Or any bugs or issues?
Crickets.
Yep.
This is Chris Burry, County Library. We've been open the whole time, not open to the public the whole time, but we never closed. Our commission didn't want to have us working from home for some reason. But anyway, we've been working and doing curbside. Our community actually likes curbside because they, just sit in their cars type of thing. It's awesome that way. But what we do is we actually check out the items to them when the hold is triggered. I don't know if people are doing that or not, or if they're just keeping them on hold. But essentially, it's checked out so that way they don't have to come in and check it out or anything like that. We don't have to figure out how to check it out during when they're waiting there at the curb. We just check it out to them for what it's worth.
Yeah. Christopher said in the chat that people are going to be ticked when curbside service goes away. Yeah, I think our library is going to plan on keeping it. We'd already kind of been talking about starting curbside service because our current access services manager worked at a library where she'd implemented curbside pickup before, and it had been really popular. So we'd been talking about doing it anyway. And I think it'll be a while before we switch to. Most people are probably going to still be just getting pickup holds. It's been a very popular service, and we've been leaving our items on hold, and then we have a staff member call to schedule a time instead of them showing up and calling. And then we check it out at that point, or like before their appointment time. So they'll set up like, this is the 15-minute time during which your books are going to be on the table out by the door. And then they check them out and wipe them down and put them on the table like in the 15 minutes before their appointment is how it's been working for us. And I saw Christopher did a very nice Facebook Live for his library about their system. How they're running it. Elaine's library is going to be closed until at least July 1st, but it's a small research library. We don't lend many things.
Has anybody been open to the public and opened their public access computers?
We'll start doing that on Monday the 18th.
That's exciting. Is that something you're going to have to write down every time, or?
I mean, they haven't told us exactly what we'll be doing yet, but I know they're trying to spread the computers out. We're doing like remote IT help, really, which I don't know how that will work since most of our patrons are confused with computers anyways. And then, disinfecting before and after. But I guess we'll kind of see how it goes when it happens. I expect that there'll be a lot of problems.
Our library has been open all the time, even though staff are there. We're not open to the public, just hospital employees who know very well that they need to sanitize their hands, they're located, always wear a mask, and slips for people to fill out the number and their information. Not too many people check out books because most of the certification exams have been canceled. It's about wiping down the keyboards. We have people going in now 3 times a week, but we figured with the effort because we're only there 3 days a week. So far, we haven't had a problem. you see books disappear, but that happens.
In the chat, Cheryl said, we check out items just when patrons call, saying they will be there to pick up. We ask that they call before they leave their house so the items are ready when they get to the library. And I know,
That's also pretty close to how we're doing it at Lewiston, is we alert them when the holds are ready, and then when they arrive at the parking lot, they're supposed to call us to let us know that they're here. And we bring the books out to this table that's outside the library and have them confirm their name when they come up to get them. And we will also be opening up for appointment-only computer use next week.
in the chat, Christopher said, we will let people in probably June 1st, and we'll probably be no more than 50 at a time. We'll have every other computer shut down, 1 hour limit, and no chairs out except at computers. Possibly one-way aisles, plexiglass at the counters, cats and dogs living together. Yeah, we're planning on plexiglass at the counters too. We might open without our computers once when we first open, because all our computers are on one desk, and it's definitely not 6 feet apart if you just shut down every other computer. So our director would like to open up sooner than we might be able to get new furniture to make the computers work. Or we might have like 1 out of 3 available.
Ed posted something in Slack about, I guess it was Spencer posted something on one of the mailing lists about was there a quick way to check out every item that was on hold ready to be picked up for a patron. And so Bywater wrote some kind of jQuery for him to make that go faster. And I'd be interested to know what that looks like exactly. But of course, Ed isn't here, and I don't know if Megan is able to describe that.
Yeah, it's when you do like a batch item modification and you just like place items down, read the barcodes, it's the same thing. So you just place them down, you read all the barcodes, you hit OK, and it checks out all those barcode items to them.
That's interesting. I'd like to see that at some point. Our next virtual conference, you and Ed need to do a demo.
Yeah, we can do that.
We have RFID tags for ours, so we use TechLogic pads for the self-checkout stations, and we worked with TechLogic to create a touchless experience for that. So they just scan their card, they dump the books on the pads, get checked out, and then it automatically prints a slip, and they'll walk away. We're opening on Monday for public, but we're using that process for checking out stuff for people for curbside.
In the chat, Christopher said, we're putting an additional scanner on the public side of the glass for patrons to scan their cards and materials. Touchless experience, who turns the pages? Yeah, we have a Biblioteca self-check. We've been trying to think about if we can change settings on it to try and make it touchless and possibly put up like something over the screen so that people realize that we don't want them touching it, so that when we open back up, we could still potentially use our self-check machine without having to like disinfect the self-check in between every patron, which some libraries are doing. Some of the libraries in Idaho pretty much never closed, even though there was a stay-at-home order. We were at an ICFL like round table where a bunch of people were talking, and some of them had kept like they'd done where you could come pick up holds and put their self-checks in the like place where you could pick up your holds, so people would come and pick up their holds and self-check, and then they had a staff member to clean the self-check between each patron. I was like, if you have a staff member there, why not do like what Coeur d'Alene did, where they set up a plexiglass station and the staff member is helping you anyway, if there's going to be a staff member there. Christopher wants retina scanners. Then people don't have to remember their barcode number or bring their card.
You know, after we're all vaccinated for this, Bill Gates is going to have chips implanted in our brain. You can just scan the chip when you walk through the door. At least that's what my brother-in-law in Coeur d'Alene says.
Cheryl said in the chat, we will have plexiglass at Cirque, just one reference staff at an adjustable standing reference desk, plus a screen mirror at the reference desk for patrons to look at from a ways away. Cirque already has a doorbell to ring for extra staff, but reference will be adding a doorbell so extra staff can come from the ref office if needed. So it sounds like, you know, people are doing things lots of different ways, and it's nice that Koha has so many options, like being able to add messages onto the OPAC for patrons, and it's been very nice how overall, once I knew what settings to change, like being able to just change, like turning off all the holds at the branches, and that there's so many options with Koha. Does anyone have any bugs or anything they'd like to talk about?
We just were upgraded to 1911 last night, so I guess today, by the end of today, I should have some interesting things to report.
Same here. I've found one thing so far and have been surprised by how much our jQuery didn't break, because
Nope.
there almost always seems to be something, but I've gone through like 90% of our staff jQuery, and it all is working as intended, so that should be good. Oh, Jesse put in the chat, they're doing another town hall on June 11th for reopening your library follow-up. Fred said, as I've said before, Koha is infinitely configurable. Yeah, I've only found one weird thing in 1911 so far, which is that guarantors seem to be required for everybody now, but that might be something in our settings, though it's not in the borrower mandatory field. So.
Wow, I hope that's a bug.
Yep. Let's see. Christopher Brandon said, we found that with the batch due date extensions, it did not remove lost statuses or fees from accounts, so patrons were still blocked if items were marked lost. Yeah, we had a little bit of that too. And if you remove the fee, it checked the item in. Ooh. Let's see. Elaine's having trouble with 1911 because you have too many extensions on Chrome, but it works on vanilla Chrome. What's happening when you have extensions on Chrome with it? Is it just like super slow, or? because I'm also using Chrome and have a few extensions. Display issues and pop-up boxes for the fixed fields don't load properly. Okay. I haven't noticed that on any of my pages yet. Pop-up box. What are the pop-up boxes for the fixed fields? So I can make sure I'm checking the right thing. Okay, so Elaine said if you go to the 007 and 008 boxes when you're editing, there's a pop-up problem.
You can click a thing and it pops up a little field, modal is what it does.
I don't know enough about cataloging to feel
I'm
very
sorry, I
comfortable
lost
saying
track. Is the 007 and 008 field pop-ups, are we talking about 1905 or 1911? Or?
I think
Late
on
11.
1911, because Elaine updated and was having some display issues in Chrome. I don't get a pop-up box. Is that in the advanced
You
editor?
have to click no, you have to click, there's a little box with a pencil.
Oh.
Click that box and that lets you edit the fixed fields.
Okay.
You see it?
Yep. It looks how I would expect it to look to me. So maybe I don't have the Chrome enough Chrome extensions to break it.
Elaine, what is the behavior that you are seeing? What does it look like?
None of the expected fields are there. Well, let me go look at that record again and see if they're there for me. Do you know where that pulls from? Because I'm getting like a bunch of drop downs. Format. That all seem. Yeah, it's working for me. Weird that. I wonder if it's just too many extensions is causing a problem, or if it's a specific extension that's interfering somehow. And you didn't have problems when you were on before you updated? She has to switch them all off. That's so weird. And it works in vanilla. And it was fine before the upgrade. So something in the upgrade causes it. Or interacts with your Chrome extensions.
Oh,
Elaine,
I've got like a weird. Sorry, Christopher, go ahead.
no, it's all right. Elaine, are any of the extensions like pop-up blockers or anything like privacy-oriented type of things where it blocks trackers or anything like that? I know when I'm using Firefox Focus on my phone, it by default blocks a lot of trackers and things like that, but it messes up some websites that depend on those trackers. Like if it can't leave a cookie on your computer or a tracking cookie or something, it won't display something. YouTube videos are notorious for this. If you have an embedded YouTube video in a website.
So on the 008 builder specifically, it seems to be doing like weird stuff that I'm not used to. Like when you switch from books to computer files, it pops up an alert that asks if you want to show computer files. So there maybe that alert's getting blocked and that's messing things up. I don't think it used to do that. I can show you what I'm talking about. Why not?
I don't think so either, but I can see what you're talking about.
So
That
like,
alert was the previous version.
oh, that's a different thing. So it
She
does
said
that.
the alert was there in the previous version.
Okay.
So I wonder if you've got it there where it somehow the way it generates it now blocks that, where before it wasn't blocking it.
Yeah, because I think this is, I don't know. Just thought that was odd. I'm running 1911.05 here, so I have an idea.
Heather said I had no trouble with 007 and 008 on Biowater's 1911 with my Chrome, but also don't have a lot of extensions on my Chrome. Yeah, and we're also supported by Biowater and not having that problem. I have a pop-up blocker on my Chrome, but it looks like I've turned off block-in Valnet, staff.valnet.com. So maybe you could disable, you might be able to like whitelist your staff side.
That's what I was thinking too.
Probably in all the apps that do any sort of block-in. But most security apps should let you, or extensions, should let you whitelist pages.
Sure. Go ahead. Yeah, that'd be great.
So I do see the same thing as you there, but maybe Heather would probably know better than me. Are there other fields associated when you put a T in the 00 for the 007 besides the 01?
And she said, well, now it's working
Oh, okay.
in the chat. Maybe after you whitelisted things, it just took a little while. Sometimes when you make changes like that, you have to like restart Chrome.
Last week at the cataloging meeting, I tried to show how something wasn't working, and it didn't work in a completely different way. These things happen.
Good question, though, Elaine. Thank you.
Has anyone else? So, Rhonda, you said you also updated last night to 1911, but you haven't done much. Found anything wrong
Yeah,
yet?
the catalogers noticed that the cut and paste wasn't working this morning, so I heard about that right away. But other than that, I haven't really heard anything.
Yeah, I'll be curious to hear if our circ staff figure anything out when they're like filling holds and checking out. I always have a few items that I'll go and I'll like check them out to patrons and check them in and see how everything's looking. And so far it all seems to be going swimmingly, which has me worried, because usually when it goes swimmingly at first, then later that day or the next day we figure out that actually like, oh, this one thing is totally broken and we just couldn't tell yet because it's so such a particular set of steps to recreate. So
Hey, Rhonda, did your catalogers, they went through all the basic processes, restarted the browser, restarted the machines, did all the normal stuff just to see if it was okay?
Yeah. I tried it myself too, and yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't work. Especially the cut. Control X or I guess now the Control Shift X. They're all using advanced editor for their stuff.
So it's in the advanced editor specifically, and it has to do with using key functions.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. So Jason put in a ticket this morning, so they should be, they'll be working with them to figure it out. Because it was actually a development that we had requested.
yeah, I think I've been going to lots of like webinars and stuff. 2005 is, I think, in feature series now and is going to get released shortly. It got it because the RM had something going on. I saw him talking about it on the IRC last week, but I think it just got pushed back a few days. So, anyone have any other bugs or open discussion they'd like to talk about? Okay. It seems like we're set for today then. Oh, Bob, when's the next consortium SIG meeting?
Let me look.
It's not on the agenda with the other ones, so we can plug that a little before we wrap up.
Just take me.
Oh, I only put the ones between this meeting and the next general meeting on the agenda. So
Okay.
That's why it got left off.
Perfect. There's also a consortium SIG and a demo SIG for our demo instance. John's in charge of that one. Trying to think if we have any other.
June 22nd.
Okay, June 22nd for the next consortium one. We also have a user services one. someone emailed me yesterday asking if there was a cereals one, and I don't think they're the first person who's asked me that. And I always say, if you're interested in running one, we could have one, and then never hear back from them. But well, I don't say it quite like that. I say, well, we need someone to run it, and no one's volunteered. If you're interested in running a cereal sig, we could see what we can do. And yes, usually they don't ever email me back again. Or they say, thanks, I don't have time to run a sig or something. But mostly I just don't hear back from them.
I did put that on the agenda for the next education meeting, just to talk about like ones where we might have gaps and seeing how we can recruit or volunteer others to come. That volunteer was from one of the presentations at koha-US this year.
Yep.
Robin.
Okay. Well, I think we're probably all set to wrap this meeting up today then. So our next meeting is June 10th, same time. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you. See you later.